Career Day. It is a day where students bring in their parents to showcase what they do for work. Oftentimes, classes get a mixed bag of professions, from police officers to lawyers to fighter fighters. But what happens when everybody's parents works in the same place? I am here today to speak on behalf of those students that are cursed to perform the same actions as their parents did long before. During my time stationed in Virginia, I volunteered at an elementary school as a tutor for kids struggling in class. These kids had amazing teachers and wonderful peers. Yet they all had the same idea once they graduated to work at a chicken farm with their families. Using my personal experiences, along with some research that I conducted, I will explain why all children across the U.S. should be given equal and fair treatment and consideration for potential opportunities. Firstly, I will explain how rural schools may not have the same resources as ones in urban counties. Next, I will explain various reasons why these schools are often overlooked. And finally, I will discuss why it is important for kids to learn and understand that there is an entire world waiting for them to explore. Just like many cities and towns, Greenbackville, Virginia is not some place most people are familiar with. In fact, if I asked you to point out the Eastern Shore, could you? No worries if you can't. The Eastern Shore, or Delmarva, is a 70-mile long area consisting of Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware. This area is one of many rural counties in the U.S. Teens and young adults do not have a lot of motivation after high school in these counties. Unless they are pushed to go to a local university or college, most students are not aware of travel abroad programs, exchange programs, or sponsorships. Elementary students unfortunately have it the worst. A study from 2018 shows that kids in rural counties across America are being robbed of their childhoods. A report called End of Childhood, conducted by Save the Children Federation, states that children in poverty will likely stay in poverty due to lack of resources available to them. Their parents often pull them out of school early or entirely in order for them to get a job and help out around the house with whatever money they can make. Compared to more urban cities, kids without properly funded schools and communities are doomed to stay this course. As some of you may be thinking, kids still have their own free will. They can make their own choices, they can get out of Dodge, so to speak. And yes, you're right. Unfortunately, though, these kids, especially in rural counties, may not make it past the ninth grade. The U.S. Department of Education has concluded that there are many as 5 childhood enders. Now think about that word, a childhood ender. Food insecurity. This is homes that lack proper nourishment for kids. High school graduation rates. These are high schools that have potentially low high school graduation rates. A lot of their students don't make it out of there. Dropout rates and such. Child homicide and suicide, areas with high violence rates and things like that. Those kids don't make it through either. Teen births. If you think about it, a student that needs to go through school and take care of a child, it's hard to balance. A lot of kids often just can't do it. And of course, the infant mortality rate. In some rural counties, they don't have access to these high quality hospitals. What these studies are telling me is that we as a country need to do better. Any one of these kids may grow up to be an engineer or a doctor or whatever they choose, so long as it is a choice that they are happy with. As I've said before, children of every corner of this country deserves an equal share of the pie, not just the ones who qualify. While these children make up only 20% of the US population, they're, in my opinion, 100% of America's future. The world belongs to the next generation. It does not belong to me or you anymore. Rural counties make up over 90% of the US territory. And think about it, 20% of these populations is 58 million kids. Surely somewhere in there is a great leader, a great teacher, a great general, a great admiral, a great person with limitless potential. It is paramount that these young students now realize that their world is waiting for them to explore. As a student, I was never given resources to help me improve overall. I struggled, but I still made it through high school. It wasn't until my decision to join the Navy that I realized what a great place the world can be. But even the Navy can't reach out to these kids unless they can drive themselves 100 miles to the nearest recruiting station. Recruiting stations often don't spend time there if there's no, for lack of a better term, candidates. The recruiting potential for our military in these communities is virtually endless. 58 million kids. That's making up a small 20%, but that has a huge opportunity for major change in this country. And that's what people are afraid of, in my opinion. That people are afraid of change, and they're afraid of what these communities can bring to the table. Oftentimes, families are very supportive of their kids, but the lack of knowledge and the fear of things that won't get better will prevent them from reaching their full potential. So, as I've talked about before, the children deserve a fair chance at exploring themselves and who they want to be in this life. There are vast areas of untapped potential, and I believe now is the time to explore them.